Hi, how are you? For this video, I'd like to talk about why it applies, why Nu Skin applies, and why it applies now, maybe in your age or in your situation, or probably in your phase of life, and why that would apply. I'm not too sure how it is or why it is, but probably I'll just share with you what I see, and hopefully you can see how this applies to your life. I think a lot of people look at network marketing and have certain perceptions. I hope that you have visited other videos to kind of understand some of the concerns you have or questions that you may have that may prevent you from understanding this business further. I hope that it explained it to you, and or you just or this is your very first video that you kind of find out. So what has it got to do with me, and why is your friend bugging you all the time, and why did they choose you? And sometimes I'm very, when I think about it, I'm very blessed, because frankly I never choose Nu Skin. I think Nu Skin chose me through my sister-in-law. So and she spent I think about a year trying to show us this business. Of course I never really liked it or wanted to know more about this business, but nonetheless, now after this business, after 11 years in this business, I have nothing but gratitude, and from the bottom of my heart, that she introduced us and she persisted for a year to show us this business. So if your friends are kind of hounding you, or kind of like pestering you, or kind of sending you messages and things like that, yeah, it can be a little bit, but on hindsight, they see something in you, and they see the power and the potential that you may have, and that Nu Skin may help you enhance that potential, unleash that power that you have, so that you can also achieve your dreams as well. Maybe different dreams, but I think they're hopeful to see that maybe you, through these videos, can understand this business better, and to serve you, and everything that we do here today, it's all about what has it got to do with you, and I hope that makes sense. So if somebody keeps calling you, another way of looking at it is that thank goodness you in other people's eyes still have what we call status, still have a sparkle in other people's eye, and other people still remember you. So that's a good thing. Okay, so let's look at a very simple model, which I learned this from some leaders in Singapore, and I thought that was very good. And basically is a very simple question. If one would stop working at, let's say, 60 or 65, I think in Singapore it's 65, in Malaysia it's 60 years old. Let's just assume if you stop working at 65, okay, 65 years old, because I know that in the next few years probably government will extend it to 65. So when you're 65, you're not working, and you hope to probably live to 85, which is a good ripe age, and of course you can live longer or shorter, but of course longer. So for this 20 years, you probably need some income, because you're not working anymore, so you need some income. Let's just use a very basic number, just assuming that you need 10,000 ringgit a month. Maybe in Singapore it's 10,000 Sing dollars a month, because probably it costs that much. And you probably you need it for 12 months, every month of the year, and you probably be living for 20 years after you've stopped working. So you probably need a saving of $2.4 million to really keep you alive till 85. And of course, if you were to fortunately live till 95, which is a good thing, you probably have to look for other means of income, or at that time. So so maybe from your kids, or something like from the investment. But if you look at just pure savings alone, there's not much left there as well. So in order to save $2.4 million, you probably have to start thinking about where you start working, because that's where you kind of generate income. So let's say you started working at you're 25 years old. So in order for you to save $2.4 million, you probably need to save $5,000 a month for 12 months in a year, for 40 years to equal $2.4 million. I know, it's a bit ridiculous. I mean, when I was 25, I didn't even make $2,000, so there's no way I can make $5,000 at all. Now, for some people who maybe didn't have any savings or didn't do anything, and they start to realize that when they're 45, that unfortunately they would have to start saving $10,000 for 20 years, 12 months in order to equal $2.4 million. And unfortunately, not many people can save $10,000, let alone $5,000 until that point in time, $2.4 million to be able to be used. So I think what happens is a lot of people here would end up having this kind of life where they dare not spend a lot of money because, dare not spend. Because it's not much, because you're saving a lot of the money anyway, right? Some of them would definitely have some savings, some investments, and hopefully those investments would mature and probably double or triple if everything goes well. And of course, throughout the economic crisis, mutual funds haven't really done that. Maybe funds have it, depending on how good you are at securing certain funds or looking at them as well. Property is a good one, but of course as prices increase, it's very hard for people to buy property or rent them as well, to find a good rental. So hopefully that works out, so don't spend so much. But when assuming that you do have 2.5 million and you're going to live for 20 years, so this stage of your life is really spend carefully kind of life, because you're hoping that you get to 85, and if you go past 85 you still have money left, so you want to spend as carefully as possible so that you last long. So when you look at this model, it looks like your whole life is like dare not spend life, and that's not really a very fulfilling life, is it? So it's unfortunate, but that's really how things are. Now, how is Nu Skin applicable? Why is network marketing applicable? Well, in network marketing, you build small, and of course because of exponential growth, there's more of it later. So if you were to maybe start at 30 years old, and then you build a business that during the later years of your life you need it most, and that's why it makes sense. It makes sense because you don't have a lot of money now, you're not looking for any investment, to build a business with your own efforts. And as it builds and it grows exponentially, you have the bulk of that money for the times when you need the money. Okay? And not only that, you can leave it as a legacy for the next generation, maybe for a trust, maybe for education, maybe travel the world, maybe to do things that you like to do. So that's why network marketing makes sense, because you don't need a lot, you have a lot of time, you have a lot of energy at this time, so slowly build it and you have a back-end business that supports you. Now, a lot of people, I'm going to erase this, a lot of people would look at businesses as a way to also create something like that, and of course that would be a good way, but a lot of people have to start off with negative amounts because they have to, capital to build a business. So a lot of times it may not be successful. Some fail, some continue, and of course some will succeed. And based on ratios, less than 1% of companies actually succeed. How do I know that? Well, there are bankers, and we talk to bankers, and some bankers have been doing banking for 30 years. They tell us that not even less than 1% actually succeed. And those who do succeed, they succeed because they innovate. They innovate, and they have to change, and they innovate. And that kind of brings us to Nu Skin, because Nu Skin is also a company, and for the past 30 years, it's been growing. 2012, the revenue is 2.17 billion. 2013. 3.2 billion, and our goal is by 2020 to be a $10 billion company. So it's been growing. And the cool thing about Nu Skin is that not only is it growing, it's growing because of innovation. So it's growing because of constant innovation. Constant innovation. So when you have a company that grows because of that innovation, and you have a business of exponential growth, you can leverage on this growth to build a business like Nu Skin. So I hope that kind of gives you some perspective of business and Nu Skin, and why Nu Skin applies, because I think it really applies to all of us. I think if we're capable, and we have big dreams, we don't want to retire in a company for the next until we're 60 years old. We want to do something in the next 3 to 5 years, work hard, and so that for the next 30, 40 years, you don't have to go through a traffic jam. You don't have to complain about inflation, or complain about property prices. You want to kind of escape the rat race, and if you really want to do that, then definitely that's why it's applicable. Another area I want to show, especially for those who are between the ages of maybe 28 to 35 or 40, let me show you why it's very important for you right now. Now, another scale is, I like to use this, maybe it starts from 20 years old, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. Hopefully we don't have to work until we're 80, yeah? So of course, when we first graduate from school, we get a job, and of course, this earning. So you don't make a lot of money. So by 25, some of you actually start working earlier, and you have some certain pay because you get salary increments. And between 30 years old to 40 years old, correct me if I'm wrong, that's really your peak earning potentials of your life. That means between 30 and 40 is really when you're climbing, isn't it? And at 30, because you reach a middle manager status, an executive level. 30 to 40 is when you're really growing the company that you're working for. And maybe between 40 you have kids, and there's some education bills, there's bills coming out. So your earnings of course is going, but your savings is going down. And because of that, in terms of working wise, you probably have to continue working for an indefinite amount of time, because and if you think that you're going to retire at 60, and then at that point when income goes down, you'll probably be looking for an opportunity to maybe sustain that income for the next 30, 40 years of your life. Very similar to that model I showed you just now. But when you look carefully here, I believe that a human being, the golden period of a human being, or the most productive years of a human being, is really between this age group, 30 to 40. I don't know if you're, maybe earlier for some, maybe later for some, but I think between 30 and 40. Why? I think it's because when you have the most energy, when you have the most dreams, and you have your performance is the best, your health is probably at the best right now, peak earning years, you're ambitious, you're willing to do anything to climb the corporate ladder, and that's natural, and that affects 90% of the population. But when you are at the most, peak earning years of life, what we're really doing is we're actually working for a company. And by the time 40, when you do decide that, I want to try something, I want to do something for myself now, I don't want to have conference calls, I want to, go to a meeting, and even if it's traveling, it's still working as well. And I can't see your family and children and the time spent. So maybe by 40 you decide to do something. But when you're 40, when you decide to come out and do something, it's oftentimes rather scary, because, if you fail, will the company hire you back again? Will it be easy for you to get another job? So there's more risk when you're 40. And so you have commitments as well, and security questions. So a lot of people, maybe after 40, 50, they decide probably they don't come out anymore, partly because of habit, partly because of comfort zone, partly because of fear, so all those things. So what I suggest is, if I knew what I know now, I would definitely tell people to start when they are at their 30s, or probably between 25 to 35, to actually start taking some action to build this business, like here, to start building that business between 25 to 35. And so that by 40, 45, you're done. You have passive income. You can decide to work, or you don't decide to work, it's up to you. You have monthly income, and you can do the things that you want to do. Spend the time with the people that you want to spend with. My example, I started when I was 32. Now, I never knew this when I started. I just did it because my first goal was to get my wife out so that she doesn't have to work and still spend time with the family and our growing daughter. And that was important for me. I wanted her to have freedom. And I realized I'm very blessed that I started at 32, and by 36, I already retired from employment, and with this business that gives us passive income. So I know it's possible. I've done it, and that's why I know it's possible for you as well to do this. Yeah, you have to learn a few skills. Not a 4-year degree, and you don't have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. It's on the job. It's really learning how to build relationship, how to develop yourself as a leader, and share with more people as possible. That's really those skills needed. Develop yourself as a leader, learn certain basic skills, communication skills, all that will be taught in the system. So all this is from the system as well. How I'm here today is really from a system. So if I learned the system, and the system was able to allow me to be who I am today, to build this business, and you can do that as well. So do you see, rather than to work for somebody in your prime years of your life, work for yourself. Start a business for yourself so that you can retire before 40 and live the rest of your life doing the things that you love with the people that you love as well. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Kind of a bit long, but gives you perspective of what this business is. I know you can do this. Why? Thousands already have. Okay? So you're in good hands. Just follow the system. So I'll see you in the next video. Alright? Thank you.